Hey everyone, today is Monday, the 27th of June. I've got a couple things to talk to you about. It was announced today, whatever, that the Supreme Court has said that United States Supreme Court has brought down an opinion that video games are protected under the First Amendment right to free speech. So specifically, the First Amendment covers a lot of things, but for just this right now, it says Congress shall make no law respecting, abridging the freedom of speech. So the Supreme Court has interpreted this in the past to mean that you can say whatever you want, however you want to say it, just unprotected forms of speech are obscenities, incitements, and fighting words. There are definitions for these. You can look them up on Wikipedia, what have you. But anyways, the Supreme Court decision, I got it here on my handy-dandy phone, decided today. Now, this is the basis of this decision came from California wanted to pass a law restricting the sale of violent video games to minors. It went to court, and okay, let me turn it this way so I can actually. There we go. Okay, so the act that California has proposed does not comport with the First Amendment. They say that video games qualify for First Amendment protection. Like protected books, plays, and movies, they communicate ideas through familiar literary devices and features distinctive to the medium. And, quoting from another case, the basic principles of freedom of speech do not vary with a new and different communication medium. The most basic principle, that government lacks the power to restrict expression because of its message, ideas, subject matter, or content, is subject to a few limited exceptions for historically unprotected speech, such as, I've already mentioned it, obscenity, incitement, and fighting words. But a legislature cannot create new categories of unprotected speech simply by weighing the value of a particular category against its social costs and then punishing it if it fails the test. Unlike the New York law upheld in Ginsburg v. New York, California's act does not adjust the boundaries of an existing category of unprotected speech to ensure that a definition designed for adults is not uncritically applied to children. Instead, the state wishes to create a wholly new category of content-based regulation that is permissible only for speech directed at children, that is unprecedented and mistaken. This country has no tradition of specially restricting children's access to depictions of violence. And California's claim that interactive video games present special problems in that the player participates in the violent action on screen and determines its outcome is unpersuasive. The second part is, because the act imposes a restriction on the content of protected speech, it is invalid unless California can demonstrate that it passes strict scrutiny. In other words, it is justified by a compelling government interest and is narrowly drawn to serve that interest. It has to be very specific to pass that test. California cannot meet that standard. Psychological studies purporting to show a connection between exposure to violent video games and harmful effects on children do not prove that such exposure causes minors to act aggressively. Any demonstrated effects are both small and indistinguishable from effects produced by other media. Since California has declined to restrict those other media, like Saturday morning cartoons, its video game regulation is wildly under-inclusive, raising serious doubts about whether the state is pursuing the interest it invokes or is instead disfavoring a particular speaker or viewpoint, specifically video games. California also cannot show that the Act's restrictions meet the alleged substantial need of parents who wish to restrict their children's access to violent videos. The video game industry's voluntary rating system already accomplishes that to a large extent. Moreover, as a means of assisting parents, the act is greatly over-inclusive, since not all of the children who are prohibited from purchasing violent video games have parents who disapprove of their doing so. The act cannot satisfy strict scrutiny. They actually say what the act does. It says California Assembly Bill 1179 prohibits the sale or rental of violent video games to minors and requires their packaging to be labeled 18. The act covers games in which the range of options available to a player includes killing, maiming, dismembering, or sexually assaulting an image of a human being if those acts are depicted in a manner that a reasonable person, considering the game as a whole, would find appeals to a deviant or morbid interest of minors. That is, patently offensive to prevailing standards in the community as to what is suitable for minors, and that causes the game, as a whole, to lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors. Violation of the act is punishable by a civil fine of up to $1,000. So, that's unconstitutional. Basically, it's really hard to tell what kind of speech is political and what is just entertainment, and the government has given up trying to bother figuring out which is which, and they let it happen. It is up to parents to control what their children ingest, as it were. My parents, specifically, I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up, but I was allowed to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was allowed to watch Star Wars and Star Trek, but I never had any... I still don't really have much interest in gore or violent actions as a whole. I'm just, I play games to continue storylines. Now, admittedly, it does make me chuckle sometimes when, a bullet causes something to happen, whatever. You've seen it on my own channel here, that my gameplay videos where I'm like, oh my god, that was cool. It's a visceral reaction. Humans like explosions, what can I say? Well, a lot of them do. Anyways, it's... I think... It's more, for me, not so much the desire to beat the crap out of somebody, although however cathartic that may be. It's more the desire to go places without physically going there. When I'm at home, I can travel to Naboo, or Kronos, or the Green Hill Zone. And I can do it all from the comfort of my living room. So it's very much the same thing with reading a book for me. I can go and visit Redwall Abbey. I can go and visit the Shire, or the Mines of Moria. By book, by music, by a video game, by art. I can do the same things, just in different ways. Like, for example, I can read about the Shire in The Hobbit and Fellowship of the Ring, and the tail end of Return of the King when they go home. I can listen to I can watch the scenes from the Fellowship of the Ring, and probably watch the upcoming The Hobbit movie, and see scenes of the Shire and visit it visually. I can listen to the soundtrack. The piece concerning hobbits is the Shire to me. I can play Lord of the Rings online and physically go to the Shire. Well, through an avatar. But you get what I mean. It's, well, at least I hope you do. It's all different ways of approaching the same thing. And I don't know if I got off topic or not. But really, yeah, good on you. I can't believe it, but Justice Scalia wrote this opinion. Actually, I can kind of believe it. He's renowned to be a little bit of a hard ass. But I have always held the utmost respect for Supreme Court justices. They have a very difficult job, um, and they get to slog through all kinds of crap. Now, fortunately, they get to kind of choose what they do within reason. Scalia has always come across as a bit of a hard ass, and I appreciate that. There always needs to be someone like that up there. But yeah, it was a decision 7-2 in favor of protected speech. So, anyways, until next time, I'm going to go practice my freedom of speech a bit.